Lots of newspapers ready for our perusal.
Yeah.
And, oh boy, it's nice to physically be in space with you. Great to see you, bro. All right, then, so let's get on with this. I have the Daily Graphic, the Business and Financial Times, and the Finder newspaper. Shall I start with the Daily Graphic?
Definitely.
Yeah? All right, then. Banner headline, Free Senior High School, Rich Must Pay. Participants in Graphic Business Stanbic Forum advocate. And this iconic picture of almost everybody in the room putting their hands up when the moderator, Evans Mensah, asked them how many of them are willing to pay for their children's SHS education, and it was overwhelming.
You just have to drive around East Legon, Spintex, Cantonment, and ask. Especially when you enter the shops, you ask them. Then they start confronting you. This free SHS thing. Do you think?
But also on the same front page, government will sustain free SHS funding. That's according to the Ghana Education Service Director General. Yeah. Okay, government bags 12 billion Ghana cedis from import duties. That's good news. And on the back page, some sports stories, actually two sports stories. Maidens, Uruguay in tricky opener. That's the Black Maidens who will begin their FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup campaign with a bout against Uruguay. Also, Black Queens demand unpaid bonuses. It breaks my heart to see this. Guess what the Black Stars would have done if they had unpaid bonuses? It's a matter of respect. It's not about the amount of money.
Because I feel that discrimination, especially among the sexes, is not fair because they all play the same game and they put in the same amount of effort, so to speak.
And you know, I want to make a point that because we won't spend time talking about it, unfortunately, perhaps sports will, but I just wanted to make this point that if the government is terrified of not paying the allowances of the Black Stars, our senior men's team, if they are terrified of it, even though the Black Stars it can afford to live without that bonus, then they should be horrified of keeping it away from the Black Queens, who don't have the kinds of careers that the Black Stars have, don't have the kind of extra sources of money that the Black Star players have. Ghanaians should be not just, the Ghanaian government should be not just horrified, but ashamed.
Well, the Black Queens don't have the sort of luxurious career in terms of the path, unlike the men, because we haven't developed the women's game. There are women who are playing good professional football outside as well.
Yes, but either way, to withhold that money, whether from men or women, is something that shouldn't be happening.
Not at all.
You should agree on an amount that you can afford to pay and pay it.
I agree.
You know, don't hold on to it. Pay it because you agreed on it. And the Ministry of Youth and Sports had a budget. It would include all of these things. So pay it, honestly. Well, what's the excuse? All right, then. Business and Financial Times has these stories. Government's initiatives will reduce cost of doing business. That was the Finance Minister speaking at an award ceremony for 55 businesses and individuals. It's called the Accountancy and Finance Awards. Also, analyst sees uncertain 2019 for financial sector. You don't say, Mr. Analyst. Also, paperless port pushes revenue to record high. I think that's connected to the story that in the Business and Financial Times it says 13 billion expected by 31st December. Daily Graphic reported that we've already got 12 billion. On the back page of the Business and Financial Times, Chemico introduces new insecticides to fight fall army worms. Also on the back page, Vodafone to equip coders with digital marketing skills. And Awal, AGI president, and others laud the 2018 Garcia winners. Ghana, I think it's CSO Excellence Awards, Garcia. There you go. Okay, Finder quickly. National Identification Authority is the focus of the banner headline. 14,888 registered at Adenta in the first week of the exercise. I certainly hope nobody had to cross that highway to get registered.
Is the exercise taking place concurrently, or they're moving from
no idea.
area to area?
It appears they are going from area to area, which, my God, when will they finish? By the time they are, if they are going area to area, by the time they are done with the country, the people they registered in Adenta will probably have passed away and have, have had grandchildren by then. Okay, over 200 MPs abandoned RTI bill. This is a serious matter. We will be discussing it later today. Very often when you hear the RTI bill, I'm sure many of us think this is something to do with journalists. Journalists want this bill passed. But today I will explain, with my colleagues and I from the RTI coalition will explain to you why you need it far more than we do. And in fact, every day that the Parliament delays in passing this bill, it is you that is receiving a spit in the face from your Member of Parliament. Okay, free SHS to cost Ghana over 3 billion Ghana cedis in 2019. That's according to Professor Ernest Aite. He said this yesterday at the graphic business Stanbic Joy, a multimedia business breakfast. Okay, free SHS. Gold track takes off smoothly. 6 contractors visit Medina Pantang Highway to begin work on footbridges. And that's me.
So let's do the daily... No, the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times, that's on the front page. Financing free SHS. It has an accompanying picture of Professor Ernest Aite, a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, a former director for ISE, and also an economist. It says, rich parents must pay, Professor Aite. We have Medina Adenta resident mounts pressure on government for construction of footbridges. CID quizzes Kojo Bonsu over $1.7 million theft case. NDC flays precedent over corruption. Back page, Ghana currently holds some 13,000 refugees. That's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Then we also have Minister urges Takwa residents to exercise restraint. Let's go to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Has on the front page, traumatic trip through the Sahara to Europe, an eyewitness account. Then we have the killing of donkeys increasing in the Upper East region as apparently Chinese craze for donkey skin deepens. Egbert Fable, though, we're told that is wooing investors into Ghana. Illegal mining as a bottom story on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Illegal mining at a place in Western region as at last Saturday, November 10, 2018. They bring to you the pictures. We're supposed to have Operation Vanguard that is supposed to stem the tide of illegal miners. Looks like it's continuing unabated. The Daily Guide newspaper is a paper we're looking at next. That's on the front page. NDC race gets dirty. Lotte fight Esiedun Ketia, known to many as General Mosquito, is the General Secretary of the NDC. Work begins on Adenta footbridges today. Shows that demonstrations are good. Will give you results.
They certainly get attention of government, don't they?
Motorway. If by next week nothing happens, with those who patronize our road. Nana flies to Qatar. I told her it's a day's visit. It takes you some 9 hours to fly to the Gulf.
So it's probably not a day's visit.
And then coming back another 9 hours. Anyway, MPP warns MP aspirants. Apparently some people are putting the cart before the horse. And makes the current MPs who are on the ticket of the MPP a bit uneasy. I mean all the political parties, because you're in parliament working, and usually you find that the DC or MCA is working round the clock in your absence, getting all the glory for things that you, the MP, you campaigned for when you know that you couldn't have delivered as an MP. So they'll do that work for you and take the credit. And then the cycle continues when they come into office. They also have the MCs and the DCs getting the credit. Almost like lightning fire beneath them. GRA arrest 4 over diversion. But usually we want to go to the center spread. Is a news one pull out of the Daily Guide newspaper. Akofa Jenny honored for being woman of substance. Leave medical and Fela Makafui alone or Chiame Kwame. And then we have the first ever albinism pageant held in Uganda. Mavis Hawa Kumsen grabs top award. She, though, will be having a Meet the Peer series. So we'll be asking, she is the Minister for Special Initiatives, the Ministry for Special Initiatives. She's also a Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senya constituency. Hawa Kumsen, Mavis Hawa Kumsen. Minister for Special Initiatives. On the back page, we are almost there. Sika Konom, he is the manager or coach for Kumasi Asante Kotoko, my club. And then we have Kotoko apparently getting a new bus, and it's already announced.
Is that what it means by
it's a big deal in Ghana when the top club in a country gets a new bus. Yeah. Right. A bus that's already among the fleet of VIP. You know, those who run the
oh, so it's a second-hand bus?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it may be a new bus.
Okay.
Maybe. Hats Umbro strike deal, and Umbro is a kit manufacturer from the UK. And they
you mean kit as in football kit?
Yes, yes.
Sounded like kids as in children.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's do the last newspaper. Oh. Today newspaper. Martin Amidu scare hits appointees. Prosecution starts with all administrations in the Martin Amidu. Flattering to deceive. Alote Jacobs goes wild. Says God will punish Asiedun Ketia. So those are the stories we have, basically. All right.
Okay. Should I do the statesman quickly? All right. Live by the rules. NPP cautions aspiring MPs. Live by the rules. Every day, new joke. All right. GRA nabs 4 for diverting duty-free goods. Kufuor salutes Methodists. Okay. Bagra Dam spillage turns blessing to Upper East fishermen. And that's it. That's it for the statesman. Shall we look at a few details? Anything you've got on your burner?
I just have this whole thing about the free SHS. And I think it's a conversation that just won't go away. We know that it's a big deal for government. And government wants to score the best of the political points that it could in the run-up to the 2020 elections. But, again, I'll say that I've had some close interaction because I was in a position to enroll or send to admit, or for admission, a student who had admission in the gold track, in the green track. So I know at first hand that indeed, even though it's free, you still have to buy certain things in some of the schools. For example, the houseware you have to buy for some particular schools. And we have some of the top schools, especially because it was around Cape Coast. Some of the top schools, the parents and the teachers, their associations, they came together and said, look, we have certain standards that we maintain for our schools. So we want you to complement the running of the school in order for the school to provide those amenities or those basics for the children or the student, just like usually we would have done before free SHS, this way. And the parents agreed. Now, I think if that could be extended to the national conversation, it will mean that ideally, even though government has a certain aspiration to provide some funding to cater for everything, it leaves a lot of room for debate because it means that the schools are not in a position to be provided for as far as in the upkeep of the children are related. And I think government needs to not that bow its head in shame, but accept that we cannot provide the sort of education we want by going free on the scale at which we're doing it. And I think when it comes to that, we need to have a national debate. The other debate is that how will you identify whether somebody can pay or not? It's easy. You can identify how somebody can pay or not by looking at the income status of the person. They are saying that, oh, you can do that for formal people. But people in the informal sector, you see that they can't pay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I don't know who will be doing the seeing and determining that this one can pay, this one can't pay.
Means testing and all that. So
yeah, I mean, it is difficult to means test when you don't have data. That is the argument that government makes against this. However, we have initiatives in this country that are directed at the poorest of the poor. And to qualify, you are means tested. Like LEAP. You are means tested before you qualify for LEAP. And this is for the people in the poorest parts of our country. So if you can means test them in the absence of national identification card and any kind of reliable data, you can means test people for LEAP. What's your excuse for not being able to means test for education, for free SHS?
Yeah.
The thing is supposed to be an intervention. Why must rich parents benefit from an intervention? Do they need an intervention? So when government gives help to those who don't need it, which of the functions of government are they fulfilling? Which of the priorities of our tax and revenue are you fulfilling by helping those who don't need help? While there are people who need help in all walks of life, not just education. That money that you are pumping down the drain into free education. And why are you paying boarding fees? Why? Who does that make sense to? I'm still waiting to hear the argument for paying boarding fees as part of free SHS. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, I'm yet to hear his justification. The president, I'm yet to hear his justification for paying for boarding fees. Or then, must everybody be a boarding student? And if they must, why must you pay for it? It's a question that I would love an answer to, because to be perfectly honest, when I look at the figures, according to Professor Ayite, it's going to be 3 billion next year. 3 billion. And it makes sense. 2 semesters, right? There'll be 2 tracks per semester.
3.3 billion is what
3 billion. That's how much we are paying. And a bulk of that will be going for the boarding and accommodation and all of that. Those things that are not compulsory for education to be free. They are not. But we are paying for them. The problem is prioritization. For me, I see this as something which the government feels like if they don't pay for it all, it doesn't look nice. It doesn't look neat. So just for appearance's sake, we are footing bills we shouldn't foot. The finance minister himself said those who can pay should pay. He has said it twice. The first time, people didn't really cotton on to what he was saying. But the second time, it was clear. Those who can pay should pay. The finance minister said this. And his own colleagues from cabinet were denigrating him for it. The then Minister for Information, Mustafa Hamid, said it is a dead opinion that he's expressing. It's a dead opinion. So the living one is that we should help people who don't need help. Oh, where is thinking happening in that particular decision? Anyway, enough from me. There was something I wanted us to touch on quickly, the RTI bill.
Okay.
Yes. And I've got to say, later we'll be having some members of the RTI coalition with us to discuss this. But the way parliamentarians are maneuvering around the RTI bill is of concern to me. So what they tend to do is they will come in the morning, as usual, and then just before the RTI bill comes up on the agenda in the chamber for discussion, some of them slip out. And by the time the conversation begins, they don't have a quorum. That's what they are doing. They are playing Pilolo with Ghanaians.
Pilolo
with Ghanaians. After we've paid our tax and voted you in to come and enjoy a salary from that tax. You play pillow with us. The RTI bill, it's not for the media. Anybody who thinks this thing is the press that wanted so that we can go and do Mfifi. I want you to imagine this. So you wake up one morning and some contractor has started constructing some road in your area or building a school park. This is something that you bid for, your uncle bid for. And you had every expectation that your uncle will win. Somebody else has won. You don't know who he is or how he got it. Under the RTI bill, you can walk to your assembly or whoever issued the contract and go and demand that they explain to you how the bid was won. You can do that. Not me. I don't have to come from my studio and come and do it for you. You can do it yourself because of this bill. You can walk up to your MP and ask him, how much money do you spend on accommodation or on entertaining guests from abroad every year? You can ask him that, and he has to give you the information unless there's a national security reason why he can't. This is for you, not for us. And in fact, even when the media use the RTI bill, it's to get information for you, for the same you. So please, don't let these MPs fool us. Don't let them play pillow with us. Can you imagine? And by the way, as soon as the conversation is about to begin, in the past, perhaps someone like Katie Hammond would get up and point out the fact that there is no quorum, so the deliberation cannot go ahead. But there's a bit of debate. I've heard Alban Bagwin suggest, and he's the second deputy speaker, I've heard him suggest that the quorum issue is only relevant at the beginning of a sitting. So when the parliamentarians convene in the morning, that's when you ought to check that there is a quorum. And once that quorum is established, it applies to every conversation, every deliberation that will happen during the day. Because at some point, people will get up and go and serve on committees. Some people will get up and go and do all kinds of other parliamentary business. But that doesn't mean that a debate cannot continue. Maybe a vote, when it's time for a vote, then you have to check that you have quorum again. But for a debate, it shouldn't be necessary that everyone should be there before the debate continues. But somehow, whenever Katie Hammond or anyone else raises the quorum argument, there's no disagreement. And look, let me give you a warning. If you're a Ghanaian, the minute you see majority and minority agreeing on something, be very afraid.
It means what? It's a conspiracy.
Well, they don't usually agree on things that are to our benefit. They usually agree on things that are to their benefit. Anyway, I think I've said enough, don't you?
Yeah. All right. So we have to go to myjoyonline.com. Let's look at a number of the stories on myjoyonline.com. So we'll take a look at a number of the stories. Already we have mortuary workers to strike over unfavorable working conditions.
Is it too cold for them?
Yeah. It's the first time I've heard that in our country, though. Speaker to name shame MPs who are always late. We're told that now they want to put a clocking devices in there, so that when you come in, you clock in to ascertain. I don't know how far that could have some far-reaching consequences if you flout the regulations. We know what the standing orders say. But Office of Special Prosecutor, LI reaches Parliament, government claims. Yeah. Immediately you start seeing claims and things in stories, you know that whoever produced the story is not too sure, because after all checks, they seem to have hit a dead end. Government does not have what it takes to sustain free SHS program, according to Professor Aite. And Professor Aite is the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, former Director for ISE, that's the Institute for Social, Statistical and Economic Research. And then also we have, we used rubber bullets on Adentan protesters, not live ammunition. Police. Well, we have Chief Superintendent Kwesi Fori. But, you know, somebody was shot through the car. A bullet.
By a rubber bullet?
Was it? Yeah,
I don't know.
So it scraped the tie of a mother.
Okay.
And then hits the tie of her son in the car, going home.
Ah, so it went through what, the glass or the metal?
It went through the car. So rubber bullets too cannot go through metal. How can a rubber bullet
go through? Hey, this one is
so we have, that's my opinion. It's free SHS for vote or for development. Nana and Sakwao, the king of Idumasa. It's long overdue. MP accuses government of feet dragging over anti-graft law. And then we have NDC astonished that President Maya Pontita claim. Okay, so we have other stories that you just have to go through. It says Akufo-Addo's free SHS policy law plan a joke, and tax exemptions should be further reduced. We have others there. Goyle supports needy tertiary students. That's a good one there by Goyle. That's a good one there by Goyle. Can we go to the BBC before we go? Okay. Well, we have to take a break. And then when we come back, we'll bring you the latest sports headlines. And Benedict also and the rest of the sports team will be around. Stay with us. We'll be right back.